Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today is a very special day in the history of Indie Impressions. This is our 1000th consecutive episode, a very special day indeed and a momentous milestone. And before we start the game out, I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to each and every one of you that's participated in watching the series, creating a game that I've covered on the series, being a part of the discussion, just being around in general as part of the community. I love each and every one of you, and thank you so much for helping support this series to get it to this point. I never thought I'd be able to pull off something this ambitious as to play a different game every day for 1,000 days. When I started, my intent was probably to go to 100, if that, and it just kept going and going and growing and becoming just a bigger part of my life and embedded into sort of the culture that I wanted to be a part of my whole life. So thank you for helping me become mostly the person who I've become today because of the ability to put forth this effort into the world and make videos for you guys. It does mean the world to me, and I'm really humbled and moved by the fact that it's meant something to you guys as well. So thank you so much for that. And I'm going to make a separate video and talk about this stuff at length, because obviously I don't want to spend the entire, however many minutes I get to talk about this game just talking about the series. I feel like that would be doing a disservice to it. And I've just been the longest time racking my mind about what I'm going to do for this series for today, because it's a big day, obviously. And I wanted to cover the right game for it, but at the same time, I also didn't want to distract from the fact that, well, it's still another day in the series, and I don't want to take away from that game as well. For the fact that this series has just been arbitrarily going on for this large number of days. But anyway, like I said, we'll have a separate video on that and talk about it a little bit more in depth. Thank you, though, to everybody that's been here again. So today, we're going to be covering something called 7 Meditations by developer Nifflas Games, who you probably know from games such as Nit and Night Sky, Syra, Within a Deep Forest, all games that I've covered on the series, all games that I've loved, and this one in particular seemed like a nice choice for a momentous episode, just because it sort of metaphorically feels representative of a lot of the struggles that I've gone through to make this series last for this long. It kind of feels like threading the needle, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today in this sort of hang glider indie flight sim, where we're going to be trying to navigate a surreal world that sort of feels a little bit like Pilot Wings. We're going to be flying through some rings and doing our best not to crash. It's got some really lovely ambience, art design, great soundtrack, and just has a sense of mystery about it, although it's quite difficult, and I will be honest, I'm probably not going to be fantastic about this game as far as the playing goes, but that's part of the charm of this series, I think. You can go ahead and download the game yourself and give it a try. It is totally free. So why don't we actually start this up now? We're going to start at level 1. I have made one change to the options here, which is change the Y-axis from flight simulator mode to FPS mode. I find that to be a little bit more comfortable for me personally, but whatever fits your particular preferences, feel free to go right ahead. We've got roll. We can set that to inverted. I like it the way it is. We can turn a crosshair on or off. I'm going to actually leave it off for the sake of not being distracted from the ambience, and we can set our mouse sensitivity to normal, high, or low. I'm going to leave it right where it is. And we're going to start on level 1, so let's fly in 7 Meditations. Alright, so we're going to fade out from a lovely title screen to our little tutorial. So we're going to fly with the mouse, we're going to roll with the mouse buttons. So left click to go left, right click to go right, fly through checkpoints, and we have no propulsion device as it's telling us right now. We can roll to improve steering, and that is super important. There is a very floaty sense to this, as I'm sure you would imagine, since we're floating through the sky. And we're going to do our best to kind of hang around this turn and preserve momentum. Oh, I crashed. Well, luckily for us, we can always just hold R to respawn right where we need to and start over again. It does take a lot of getting used to, I'm going to be honest. I did try this a couple of times before I started the recording, just to see how bad I would be at it, and, I'm going to be pretty bad. I was never fantastic at this type of thing in games like Pilot Wings, but I did really value the fact that this is something very different, and I've almost covered no flight sims, maybe not even any, in the history of the series, which, I'd like to go out through the 1,000 episodes as having discovered as many genres and tried as many things as possible, and this is a thing that fits the creativity that I like to look for. Man, I just run out of momentum when I get to that ring, apparently. I should probably swoop a little bit better for that. But I like to discover as many genres and try as many things as possible, and especially when it fits within sort of the art framework of the emphasis that I like to put on these games. I think, why not? What's the harm here? Hopefully I'll get it this time. There is obviously a little bit of exploring to be done if we really wanted to. We could just fly around this world and see what there is to see. There is actually a kind of a neat little surprise that I'm going to check out after I pass this level. And there we go. So we've got through all of those checkpoints, and then we're going to go towards this big, mysterious, Stargate-like square portal, although obviously I know Stargate portal was a ring. And there we go. We win! That was level 1. Now we go to level 2. I assume there's 7 levels to this. That would kind of make sense with 7 meditations. One of my small little drawbacks, I guess, to this, I was really hoping that each level would be a different sort of atmosphere. Unfortunately, it kind of keeps the same atmosphere from one level to the next, although there are, you know, mix-ups to how the controls work, obviously. We're going to have a big drop in this one, which is kind of huge. And I love the fact that that light shows you where the next ring is. That's super helpful. Okay, a lot of momentum here. Let's keep up high a little bit if we can. Oh, all right, we curved, kind of heavy, and we're losing, shifting. Oh, no! We didn't make it. We didn't make it, guys. All right, I got through a lot of that one, but I didn't quite make it on the final run. There's a lot of preparation and strategy to be done here to actually make it through each one of these sets of rings successfully, and I think you actually have to plot these courses out pretty carefully as you try them a few times to get the desired results, and you have to take into account the fact that the wind and momentum and trajectory, all of that stuff is always a moving target, so while this might look easy on paper, a lot of things are going to keep you shifting in ways that you wouldn't expect, so now I just have to hope that I can keep momentum enough to reach that. Oh, I don't think I'm going to make it. I was hoping I could dive a little bit and then pull up at the last second. Didn't quite happen, unfortunately. So although I made it through all the rings, I wasn't high enough to swoop through at the last moment and win. So I did mention the atmosphere being really good. I really like the lighting effects to this. I love this kind of hazy, cloudy feeling to it. I almost feel like this abstract representation of this landscape we're looking at sort of reminds me a little bit of a vast minimalization of a cityscape. You almost feel like you're looking at like a poly map of like a Google Maps version of, you know, the edge of a city as it meets a harbor or something. Obviously, you know, without the giant alien artifacts, generally those wouldn't be present. But if we look down as I start the swoop at the beginning, it just, you know, very much looks like the jetties and things you'd see coming out from the edge of a, like, Manhattan Island or something, which is kind of a sweet idea. And it reminds me a little bit of Mirror's Edge as well in that, too. Almost gives you a strange sense of scale, too, because since you see all of those shapes, you would expect them to be skyscrapers, and then as you get closer, you realize there's just no more detail than that, which works really well to give you a strange feeling about the world that you're inhabiting, and it makes it very mysterious and ethereal and just strange, which I always value. Alright, I'm real bad at this, so I'm very sorry that I'm not being successful at this one. I almost want to go back to the menu and try the next level just in case I can do better. You're probably wondering why I don't go and look around in the landscape. I'm going to do that in a few moments as well. Maybe I'll do one more level before we jump ahead to that. And wow, complete and total failure. I appreciate, too, that when you crash, it's not like a horrible bone snapping sound. You just kind of roll around. It feels better that way, in my opinion. Let's go back out, and we'll go to level 3, where it's probably not going to get any easier. In fact, it's probably just going to get more difficult. But what can you do? Let's give it a try. The blue haze, by the way, if you couldn't tell, is what's drawing us to the next checkpoint in addition to that little light that's pulling us around. Oh, that giant sun lens flare just gets obscured by that one skyscraper, and it's such a different feeling when there's no light source like that. This also reminds me a little bit of Race the Sun, in that there's, you know, one big massive light source casting light rays on everything, and a sense of kind of a warm glow that you're chasing after, as well as just some abstract giant structures off in the distance. Oh man, the soundtrack feels a little different here, doesn't it? That's really strange and mysterious. Where is this taking us? The rings seem to be going off the world. Alright, I'm not leaning into things as much as I think I probably should. Oh, we're just going around the outside edge here. I'm tempted now to lean into these to gain a little bit of speed, but the more speed I get, I don't know if I'm going to need to go back up later. Okay, so it's going to naturally take us to an exploration that I was going to find on my own for you guys. It's a little happy surprise that underneath this landscape, when the developer feels like cutting away those chunks out of the land, you can actually see there's like a million of these little sort of lattice structures underneath, or like they almost look like those tank stopper tack things that show up on the beaches at wartime. And then below that is even another thing. Let's see if I can actually keep this going long enough. I wonder if this is going to kind of wind me down through all of this. This is a huge surprise that I never thought I would see, that there would actually be more structure-wise to this landscape beyond just the outside edge, and that sort of feels like another little weird metaphor for the series, in that, like, you know, there's a lot at surface value that we talk about, the critiques and stuff, but we don't always talk about the nuances to how some of these implications show up in the series, in the industry and the series actually at large. Sometimes there's a lot more going on than is even hinted at first. Oh man, this looks like a crazy weird wooden block puzzle, or like a puzzle box. Maybe we're going into Hellraiser or something. Alright, so that gives you a kind of a quick idea. Let's go back out to level 0, the secret level that I didn't know was there until I scrolled through all of them, called Yeah Whatever, where there isn't actually explicitly a checkpoint anywhere at the top. You just see that blue glow underneath the ground. And this was a really strange and interesting enigma to me, that we got to fly through that gap straight down. Oh my god. I can't quite conserve momentum accurately enough to get through all of that. Darn! Oh, I thought I was gonna have a sweet, like, thread the needle moment and go through everything. It's quite invigorating, actually, when you can pull it off. To go sideways through something like this and then not crash. Oh, unlike what I just did there. You can't obviously spin completely around because you lose all semblance of air resistance, which, you know, as some sort of flying vehicle, that's a bit of a problem. We certainly want to be able to use the air to our advantage, not just crash straight down through it. But what are you going to do? Them's the brakes. I do wish there was a little bit more exploration. I wish there was more elaborated on in this landscape, because I think it's so pretty. I'm just imagining different types of light and darkness, different sorts of contrast, different various structures and other strange places that we get to explore. Oh, I think I'm going to make it there just completely by... Nope. Too much downward momentum. Wait! I bounced up in the air. Oh, no, I didn't. I just thought I was going up. I was actually going down. I wasn't even sure which direction I was headed in at all. Let's try the anxiety level. That seems like a great representation of things for me. What is this going to take me through? Are we going to keep delving further and further through the landscape, or... I'm imagining it's just going to be more setups of different highs and lows. Oh no. Okay, wait. I think I can pull that off, and then I'm going to have to turn sideways to get through this. Oh my god, that's tough. Oh, I have no idea how I'm supposed to do that properly. Well, I was kind of close. I could probably do it in a bunch of tries, but instead, let's just plummet through here and see if we can not die. No. Alright, still crashed. Oh no, there's a ring down here. That means this is probably the last place that we go before we loop up through this final gate. Oh, that's so cool. I feel like I wish I was better for you guys for the sake of this video, but I guess I'll leave that to you to do better and show me. If you guys want to make videos, I'd be happy to watch them as well. I am curious to know how masterfully you can navigate these rings. I am a fan of this concept in general. I'm not well practiced at it, I guess, is the real problem here, but there's probably enough apologizing. I've done enough of that in the series for being bad at games. You guys generally seem to be pretty understanding about that all anyway. What I'm here for is the critique, the discussion, the ability to break apart some of the gameplay concepts and analyze them. That's what I'm all about, and that's what we've been doing for the last 1,000 episodes. So I think we're going to wrap it up at this point. Keep it fairly short for the sake of brevity and not going over the same ground too many times, although I do tend to do that pretty often. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. This was 7 Meditations. If you want to go ahead and download this, you can feel free. There will be a link in the description. It is free to play, and you can let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I do greatly appreciate every comment that I get, and I still read every single one of them. And, of course, if you enjoyed this episode, or if you're just a fan of the series, feel free to leave a like on it. That does help propagate things as well. You know, I'd considered for a long time wrapping things up around the 1,000 episode mark, but I think I would just honestly be lost as to what to do with the YouTube channel if I stop having that direct impetus to continue forward on a day-to-day basis. So, for the general, you know, going forward, I'm going to say we're just going to keep at it unless something particularly egregious comes up or something really bad happens. There is a bit of a big milestone coming up for me this Friday, so we'll, well, sort of behind-the-scenes thing that I don't need to talk about here, but if anything goes wrong with that, I guess there could be a reason why I might change my mind. Hopefully everything will go smoothly, because I've already planned it out as well as I think I can. But That's going to be it, guys. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support on the series, and I hope to see you back again tomorrow for another episode of Indie Impressions. So check out the other video that I'm going to do as well if you're interested to hear me talk more about the series. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.